this meeting to order at 5:30. Roll call. Council at Large Boots.
Here.
At Large Spear.
Here.
Council Ward number 1 Leeper.
Here.
Ward number 2 Anderson.
Here.
And Ward number 3 McNeil. Here. All right. Everybody's here. Ready, please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any additions to the agenda? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Boots with the first, and McNeil with the second.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Lieber?
Yes.
McNeil? Boots?
Yes.
All right, now to the communications part. We actually have a couple scheduled communications, so I'll call them up in the way that they are on the agenda. Ms. Gilbert and Ms. Jenkins, if you wouldn't mind going over to the podium.
Actually, tonight I have with me Pam Hardy. Diane could not be here.
All right.
She's going to pass off something.
Is it already got posted?
Definitely, come on up.
Before I get started about the gathering, I feel like I'm led to tell you a little bit about myself. Judy Jenkins, I was born and raised in Tipton. I used to be a Scalazine. Right after college, I started teaching art here at the elementary, middle school grades. And after that, I owned Little Friends Preschool and taught art at Bennett part-time. Diana Gilbert, who could not be here, they used to be the former pastors of the Foursquare Church. They started the local food pantry, started a lot of wonderful programs to reach out to the community, and I was part of leading the Wednesday night Good News Bears program. And we reached out to a lot of kids that would normally be usually walking around the streets at night, even as young as 4 and 5 years old. We reached them all the way up to 6th grade, and then we also had youth groups that were meeting. So we'd pick them up in the buses, and then during the summer we'd take them to camps and whatnot. They left about 14 years ago, and back then we wanted to open up something like this, but I guess the timing was not right. To everything, there's a season and a time. So I was prompted out of nowhere. I'm just going to tell you, one night when I was praying, the Lord told me to contact Diana. I hadn't talked to her for about 6 or 7 years. So I called her and said, what's going on? I feel like I'm supposed to go see you and visit you. And they were in LaSalle, Illinois, pastoring. And she's like, okay, come anytime. And it just happened to be, when I got there, the Saturday that a guy was speaking at her church who was recently a state representative who started this foundation. And he grew up in Cabri Green in Chicago. He was homeless. His mom was a drug addict. He went through the whole everything, and then he ended up being a state representative and wanted to give back to the community and reach out to kids and help them with homework. They reached a lot of them that were getting D's and F's, and they ended up getting A's and B's and graduating. And some of them who hadn't graduated, they got a hold of them and helped them to graduate. And they would give them activities to do, and this was the same vision that we have had for 15, 16 years. It was just kind of not time for it yet. So anyway, I went to visit her and said, okay, I don't know why I came, but I came, and we'll see what happens. And she called me about 2 weeks later, and she said, we were prompted to retire, and we didn't think it was going to happen for a few more years, but we're going to retire. We're coming back to Tipton, and we're going to open this up in Tipton. I was like, yay! So we started looking for a building. All the doors kept closing, and then I was able to get the 2 buildings just south of the coffee shop, and we've been gutting them and remodeling them. This pamphlet tells a little bit about what we're going to do. We want to reach out to the kids, help them with homework, give them activities to do after they do the homework, and then if they don't have homework or needing to get their grades up, we will still have activities for them to do. We'll have some snacks, pool table, pinball machine, foosball table, and then of course things like Xbox and PlayStation and some flat screens. We'll have some computer stations set up. And even help some of the younger kids. We want to have some weekend activities for them to do. If you look on one of the pages, we have some future goals. We're going to add things as we go. We want to help them. We're meeting next week to discuss this with the chief of police and the sheriff and the superintendent. We want to work together with the schools to help them with kids that are being progress monitored, see how we can help them get their grades up.
And Yarn Foundation Incorporated is also a not-for-profit,
Yep.
so it's operating as all-inclusive. So
It was started about 10 years ago, I believe.
so it has a base established.
Yep.
Yarn Incorporated.
Right. And so we will be growing from there to helping with clothing, helping people get jobs and resumes completed. Eventually probably have some self-help groups that meet there separately from the kids, of course. Self-help such as like AA, NA, depression, divorce, things like that. So it's not just kids. We eventually wanted to reach out, and we already have some senior citizens on board that want to come and help. Some who are former teachers, some who are not, but are just really good with kids, who want to come and help out and spend time with the kids. We want it to be a safe place where everybody can feel accepted, where they belong and they're part of something. I do realize we have an athletic center. However, if you noticed, a lot of the kids who are around town are not into sports, or maybe they didn't fit into sports. We have a lot of artistic people, such as I, who may not be as much into sports, and they can come here and do a lot of activities that would help them be engaged in something like that. We're hoping to, at the same time, curb some of maybe the issues with drugs and stealing that's been going on a lot the last few years in this town. And we'll just continue from there. So just wanted to let you know who we are. Again, we're nonprofit, so of course we're hoping that people from the community would like to partner with us and be a part of this. Of course, we're going to be needing the buildings were in really bad shape, so that's why we're gutting them, and we're going to have to start over with the plumbing and the electrical and the heating and air. And I've got some different companies who have already said they donate things. Of course, we're going to need a lot more, and the labor to do it is what's most key. So, do we have any questions? If you do, we have the contact information there. Feel free to contact me anytime. All right. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you very much. All right, and next up is Don Getz.
Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, I'm Don Getz, Mike's father. Everybody used to know me, but now everybody knows Mike. I'm getting ready to install the third sign up by the country club, and I was wondering, there's one of Anamosa. You'll notice the shrubbery that's around it. I wondered if the city might consider putting some shrubbery around the three that we have or will have. And the one in the country club will go up, you know where the maintenance shed is? That's the first shed as you come up.
Yeah.
Right about there.
Okay.
And talked to Steve about it, and he said that looks good. And we're just waiting now for the final approval. Got a approval, but they got to meet with the board, and they said there's totally a problem. So that's what the third one will be. I hope you haven't spent the money. And the other thing I'd like to address is I live on Summit and Randall Road, and it's a pretty good sized hill going up there. And the water, when it rains, all comes down the hill. And the one on the right side, though, comes over to the left side, which runs in front of my house. And this is what it does. I've been talking to Steve about this, and I'm not faulting Steve because he's a good guy and he's overworked, but these are some pictures of what it looked like in 2005. I can't believe I was looking at it since then, but I've been very patient. He said they were always thinking about putting another drain in there. I don't know whether that would stop it or not, but whatever would help, I'd sure appreciate it. And when we moved there, we sodded out to it was about that wide at that time, the gravel, you know.
Yeah.
And of course, it's now about this wide. And these are some current pictures here of it. that's a drop off, or that's a gutter that it wore out going down there. And that was basically the same. And then this is a drop off of the road. There, if somebody comes down there and puts their wheel in there, they're gonna be in trouble. This is what the road looks like now, the road right away. There's another rut that's in there. And that's about it. And I just would like to request that maybe if you can do something about it, I'd appreciate it. Because it just gets worse all the time, you know, and I have to get down there and get to rake the rock back out of the grass.
Yeah.
I don't know what it looks like today, I haven't looked after last night. Thank you very much for your time, I appreciate it.
No problem, thank
Thank you,
you.
Don.
You bet.
Thank you, Johnny.
You're welcome.
Yep, yep, we'll talk with Steve and Ellen about that. Thank you, Mr. Yates.
Do you want these back, Mr. Guys?
Pardon
Do you
me?
want these back, Mr.
No.
Guys?
Yeah, I'll keep this one too. All right. By the age, get by the age, of course. Well, thank you for those signs too.
I'm sorry?
Thank you for those signs.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
They're very nice.
Yes.
They're very nice.
Well, they are, they're different, I'm anxious to get the third one up. But I'd be more anxious if you could think about putting some shrubbery around them. And the one out across from Walmart, I wish they could trim the weeds a little more than they do. They just get basically about the front of the sign and the rest of it looks like crap.
Okay, well, yeah, we can look at that too. Make sure they're doing it.
I don't know who's in charge of taking care of that, is that the state or?
Yeah, I don't even know,
I'm not sure either.
because it's right out by Walmart, but it's closer to town. Yeah. All right, we'll look into it though.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so those were the two that were scheduled. Is there anybody else who'd like to address the council?
Yes, please. I'm Betty Emmerich. I live at 409 East Street, Tipton, Iowa. I would like to make a suggestion. Are there any Lions Club people here tonight? Okay. I sometimes think I have a mind like a sieve, and I'll leave from down at the senior dining, and then I will come right up past the city office where I plan to stop and find I'm parked in front of the post office so I can pick up my mail. And I keep forgetting to stop because I was going to bring a checkup for the fireworks and all of the things that have been going on. I don't know who to hand it to. And, but the thing I was going to suggest to the Lions, I know that it was a lady with buckets standing down at the bottom of the hill, and I noticed her, and she was kind of swinging the bucket, but I didn't know just why. And I went up to pick up my glasses, which I'd left up at the pool in the morning, and came back, and she was standing there. I think it needs to have a sign around the bucket saying fireworks, donations for the fireworks, or for all of the things that were going on. You know, I'm guessing that probably people give money for the fireworks more easily than they give money to some of the activities. But that's just a suggestion, because I didn't hand her any money either time, but I got home and I thought, oh, that's what she's doing with the bucket. But I'd also, and I don't want to discourage anybody from going to all of our restaurants, and we have a lot of nice ones. Our numbers are down at senior dining because we keep losing members and sending them to the nursing homes and assisted living. And I'd like to see some of you come to senior dining at least once a week. I think that would help to keep the Heritage Agency from cutting our numbers down. I'd like to thank everybody for making the town really, really nice for the activities, and Linda for all the things you planned. I didn't take part in hardly any of them, but anyway, and to Dean, who keeps making the city look lovely with all of the flowers, and I keep buying the same kind, and I don't look as good because I don't take as good a care, I guess, as Dean, but mine keep moving. And I just like to thank the whole city group, anybody that's working for the city, that made our town look so nice with all the flags and everything for the 4th of July parade, which was very nice, and
Yeah.
and all those things. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Betty.
All right. Anyone else? All right, seeing if there is none, we will move on to the consent agenda. Just 3 items, and that will be passed with one motion unless separate discussion is needed, which is the approval of the city council minutes, approval of the liquor license for Sal's Pizzeria, and the approval of the library board minutes and director's report from May. Is there anything that needs to be pulled out?
Mayor, I just had a question on the license for Sal's. There was an expiration date that had 1/1 of 1900. Is that just an arbitrary date, or should there be a permanent
That's what
date?
the city puts in.
Okay, all right, I didn't understand.
All right. Any other things to be pulled out? Seeing if there is none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Spear with the first,
Second.
and Anderson with the second.
Spear.
Yes.
Leeper.
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
Booth.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Okay, so that passes. Now down to L on the agenda, the motions for approval. The claims list. Is there any discussion on the claims list? Seeing there is none, is there a motion to approve that claims list?
I'll make that motion.
Boots with the first,
I'll second.
McNeil with the second.
Leeper. Leeper.
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
Booth.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Spear.
Yes.
All right, the second one, one-time water and sewer exemption at 707 West 9th, Lot 56. Any discussion on that? All right, is there a motion to approve this exemption?
So moved.
Anderson with the first,
I'll second.
Spear with the second.
McNeil.
Yes.
Booth.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Spear.
Yes.
Leeper.
Yes.
All right, so now down to the ambulance director position and to establish their compensation. Is there any questions or discussion on this?
Mayor, I thought, I mean, this reads in here, are we going to try and adjust that wage to the 47,476?
I think that needs to happen because of the wage rule.
Right. The new,
I just wanted you to have the numbers that we had.
right. But does the council need to make that change before you list it?
Yes.
So, are you wanting the job posting to say that the compensation will be 47,476?
Mhm.
It needs to probably be a little higher than that.
What's
That is the
high?
base.
This says the midpoint wage on their site was 46, but what's the high end on that?
I don't remember when I have to look. But this was
But
what
this
we
would be
were
under it?
concerned about. Yes. When Holly was here, we talked about this, and she suggested like 47.5 or 6 to get above that low point.
And maybe, Mr. Long, could you explain why we're doing that? Or maybe Laura can.
Probably Laura can, I can probably fill in.
Explain why we're doing
why we're upping that wage.
Okay, in the packet, I put those forms or those letters, information from Holly that was in the past council meeting when Pat was here, and he explained that a little bit. There's a new wage rule law going into effect December 1st. And anyone that is below this,
47,476.
right, that'll be the low point. Used to be like 23,000, and now they've increased it to this 47. If there's overtime work, they would have to be compensated for that, if they're under this amount. And with that position, that could be a lot of hours.
Right, right.
So if we adjust this, then will the compensation be adjusted accordingly, or will it stay however it is?
No, what we would want to do is use this as a base and then increase it to above that level.
Okay.
Would there be consideration of using a range that and I don't have it in front of me, the range that the Verisight study provides for this level of grade, and say
So many percent.
Depending on qualifications, the pay would be set within this range?
And when we hired Brett, the range was 38 to 48, and that depended on qualifications and experience. So something like that would probably work.
Right. And probably Nicole could help us with the mid-range and the high on that.
I just didn't put those numbers in there. I wanted to show the low number and what we need to be at or above.
Mhm. So I think my opinion on the increase to 47,476 will save us money so that we're not paying any overtime on any of those hours.
Exactly.
Will meet the minimum for Labor Standards Act rules.
Right.
So do we need a motion to advertise and then like set up the
A range,
annual
set a
salary
range.
thing?
Yeah, this could be our incoming, and then we'll visit with, can we make the motion so that Nicole helps us establish the mid and the high?
Yes.
Is that okay?
And I think that we probably have that.
I'm pretty sure it's established in the study.
But I know the units were updated. I'm not sure about the administrative ones, but we can check with her and go from there.
Okay. So I would make that motion.
And that is.
You're making the motion to raise it to 47,476,
Right,
but a range.
right, and then there can be the range in the
The
advertisement.
minimum being 47,476 with
Yes.
the range.
I would second that.
Okay, Spear with the first and Boots with the second.
Did you understand?
Boots,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
All right, so that gets passed. And finally, the motion for approval is discussion and consideration of the Iowa DNR construction permit application. Mr. Wall?
I'll defer that one to, I think is that ours?
Boy,
Floyd.
I'll defer to that.
All right.
Okay, this permit is for the power plant for the engine number 7. Normally, it would have only been $385, but we went ahead and made some changes on the permit so that if there was an ice storm, we wouldn't be in violation of running, because if we had an ice storm and we had to run for 24 hours a day, we couldn't. The permit was only good for 16 hours a day. So that would mean after 16 hours of generation, we'd have to shut off. So what we changed the permits around by doing all of this with all the existing engines, so that I can get rid of that violation and not have to worry about that in case that ever happens again. And then we're changing it also with the MTUs and the CAT, so that they will be based off fuel usage instead of time. Because what they were doing before is they were basing it off the full load scenario. The engine was pulling full load the entire time that it ran. That's not to say that the engine may not, but if we do it this way, it gives us a lot more hours. The way I had it figured out, it'll give the MTUs and the CATs about 924 hours a piece to run instead of 500 hours a piece. So by doing that, we actually increased the time. So I would recommend that the council go ahead and approve that, because I thought that was pretty prudent that
curiosity, how much does that change from 385 to how much?
To $2,310.
Okay.
Because I had to re-permit all of them. We're not expecting a permit fee for decommissioning engine number 4, but they may. They have that option, but we don't think they will. So we won't know until we get a little further down the process on this.
Any other questions for Floyd? And is there a motion
So moved.
to approve?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Lieber has made the motion to approve the permit application fee,
I'll second.
and Boots with the second.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil, Schultz.
Yes.
All right, then, moving down to reports, all right?
Okay.
All right. Well, not much to report other than to kind of dovetail off of what Ms. Zemmer said. 4th of July was amazing here, and to be honest, as I looked around during the fireworks and as I was going through the parade, these were 2 reasons why I was happy to move back. I mean, to see the whole town come together for a day of celebration is an amazing thing to see. So I applaud everybody who were able to pull that off and thank everyone for going to all those activities. That's all I have. Is there anybody from the council?
I just want to mention that when we had the SEDCO meeting on June 14th, they have decided to try just going every other month. So we're going to see how that works, and if it's often enough, then they're just going to do the every other, which is nice.
And I'd also like to thank Linda, because I know it was a lot of stress for your first time out, and it went very well. Thank you for a nice weekend.
Committee reports? And to the city manager.
Thanks, Mayor. First of all, it truly is good to be back. If anybody wanted to know how many Vespa scooters have been between your car, the bus next to you, and the cliff on the other side, it's all of them. It was a great time, and I appreciate the extension to get away for a bit. Coming back, I understand that Pat Callahan, staff, and the city attorney have researched and established a process for the final selection and appointment of a permanent chief of police, and we will spell that out in front of the city council at your next meeting as to how that process goes, so you can proceed. Just in passing, I did hear from Anna Spangler that the kids' day camp went really well. People were really pleased with that, and it connected with a group of youth that may not be in other activities in the community, and it was a real positive thing. So just pleased with that. I'm pleased to hear that. The manager's office has been in process. It looks a lot better than it did a month ago, and everyone was really great about picking everything up that's been in piles in that office since I started before and moved out. I will be spending time toward the end of this week and next week to sort out stuff that we need to keep and dispose of things that we don't, and put things in order so that any of us who happen to need to find something in that office will be able to. So thanks to everyone who pitched in to get that job undertaken. It will make a much better impression, I think, and it'll be a more effective office. And with that, I'll defer to Linda, who I think did a stellar job putting together 4th of July, and her report on that.
Thank you very much. Well, normally I can go off the cuff with something like this, but I decided I better not, because I might forget somebody. So there's a saying that it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it also takes a village to create and host a very successful community event. And so I would really like to express my deep gratitude to our mayor and our city council members, and our city manager for supporting this great celebration. So thank you all very much. I'd also like to humbly thank our city departments, including Public Works, Electric, Water, the office, police, fire, and ambulance. They all went above and beyond to make this event run so smoothly. And these individuals, I want you to know, are the best. There would be many days that I'd be tromping around at the park and trying to lay something out or get a visual. And if they were up there, they would stop to see if I needed help. And you have no idea how much I appreciated that. And I really want everybody to know that. And they are the definition of team players. And I am very happy to be a part of this team. I also want to thank my many volunteers that took time out of their holiday to also make this day very successful because, again, it wouldn't have happened. The businesses in our community, they are really what makes it happen. Because of their generous donations to Tipton, we are able to host such events for our community. And this was my first 4th of July planning, and I have a list of things I'm going to change next year. But I must admit that I used to think that, as I sat back and watched the parade go by, that it just magically happened. And nope, was I ever wrong. You plan, and then you plan more. And actually, I started planning in January for the 4th of July. And I believe in Tipton, and I wanted to represent it very well. And I want to plant great memories in the children of this community. This is a place that they call home. So, I want to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart that you helped me and you really guided me. And this really is the definition that we all can call home. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving on to water wastewater operator, Mr. Brown.
Well, there's not a lot to report because we're only 6 days in, I guess. But the transition date did come. We handed over the keys. Lance handed over the keys at 4:10 p.m. on the 30th of June, there last Thursday, and we've been running the water and sewer ever since. So we kind of haven't escaped the craziness of the holiday weekend and everything yet. So we've got some guys that are on vacation down in the Public Works Department. So I haven't really been able to shake Eldon free a whole lot yet to join me and cross-train and stuff like that. We've got all the rest of the summer to do that, so that's coming. But everything's running good. Had a little problem on Saturday morning with the high service pumps. They had kicked out on some kind of an alarm. They had to be reset. It was something to do with the voltage, but I think there was a little bit of weather that night that might cause that. Floyd and I discussed that a little bit too. We've made all the proper contacts to DNR staff, like Lori Sharp, Russ Short, to alert them of operator in charge status, lab operator in charge, stuff like this. So the proper channels are being gone through. We have a rep coming from the State Hygienic Lab on a free consultation. They help with lab certification. And so they're going to give you a little guidance on that. It's been a while. I think everybody's kind of interested. The consensus is that if we can keep that lab certified, go ahead, so why not? So we're going to put a little bit of effort into that and see what we can come up with. Had a water main break on the 4th of July. It was about 4 p.m. in the afternoon there Monday. It was right downtown across from Happy Joe's. Luckily it was in the water mains just out of the travel portion and in the parking a little bit. I was on call, so Cedar County called me. Eldon came in and Tucker came in. The guys just really did a good job, and we got it taken care of, and we're out of there by 8 o'clock, and I think everybody made it to the fireworks that night. So, daily rounds, that's a 7-day-a-week deal. Saturday morning took me 3 hours. It was a little extra time, I think, because of the water plant problems. I think as I settle in, I can hopefully whittle these things down a little faster, Sunday took 2 hours, and on Monday it took about an hour and 50 minutes. So maybe if I get really proficient, I could get it down to about an hour and a half. The other guys want to rotate in with me too, eventually, so I have to do it every weekend, obviously. And we decided we probably ought to get the facilities rekeyed, all the doors for the water and sewer facilities. We got that completed today with a little help from a locksmith company. And that's about it. Anybody have any questions for me? No? Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Brennan?
Thanks, Brian.
Any other department heads? All right. Seeing that there is none, soon we've come to the end of the agenda. Is there a motion for adjournment? Mr. Anderson with the first,
I'll second.
and Spear with the second.
Stewart.
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
McNeil. Booth.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
All right, this meeting is adjourned.